beyond cozy, almost hot. And I could see the definition of her biceps and triceps, every muscle seemingly tensed, the same way they had been when she'd walked into the meeting room at Poplar House 2 hours earlier. Then, too, it seemed like Jamie had done all the talking, both to Shayna, the head counselor, and to me while Cora remained quiet. Still, every now and again, I could feel her eyes on me, steady, as if she was studying my features, committing me to memory. Or maybe just trying to figure out if there was any part of me she recognized at all. So, Cora had a husband, I'd thought, staring at them as we'd sat across from each other, Shayna shuffling papers between us. I wondered if they'd had a fancy wedding, with her in a big white dress, or if they'd just eloped after she'd told him she had no family to speak of. Left to her own devices, this was the story I was sure she preferred, that she just sprouted all on her own, neither connected nor indebted to anyone else at all. "Thermostat's out in the hallway if you need to adjust it," Jamie was saying now. "Personally, I like a bit of a chill to the air, but your sister prefers it to be sweltering, so even if you turn it down, she'll most likely jack it back up within moments." Again he smiled, and I did the same. God, this was exhausting. I felt Cora shift in the doorway, but again, she didn't say anything. "Oh," Jamie said, clapping his hands, "almost forgot the best part." He walked over to the window, in the center of the wall, reaching down beneath the blind. It wasn't until he was stepping back and it was opening that I realized it was, in fact, a door. Within moments, I smelled cold air. "Come check this out." I fought the urge to look back at Cora again as I took a step, then one more, feeling my feet sink into the carpet, following him over the threshold onto a small balcony. He was standing by the railing, and I joined him, both of us looking down at the backyard. When I'd first seen it from the kitchen, I'd noticed just the basics: grass, a shed, the big patio with the grill at one end. Now, though, I could see there were rocks laid out in the grass in an oval shape, obviously deliberately, and again, I thought of Stonehenge. What was it with these rich people? A druid fixation? "It's gonna be a pond," Jamie told me, as if I'd said this out loud. "A pond?" I said. "Total ecosystem," he said. 30 by 20 and lined, all natural with a waterfall. And fish. Cool, huh?" Again, I felt him look at me, expectant. "Yeah," I said, because I was a guest here. "Sounds great." He laughed. "Hear that, Cor? She doesn't think I'm crazy." I looked down at the circle again, then back at my sister. She'd come into the room, although not that far, and still had her arms crossed over her chest as she stood there, watching us. For a moment, our eyes met, and I wondered how on earth I'd ended up here. The last place I knew either one of us wanted me to be. Then she opened her mouth to speak for the first time since we'd pulled up in the driveway, and all this, whatever it was, began. "It's cold," she said. "You should come inside." Before 1 o'clock that afternoon, when she showed up to claim me, I hadn't seen my sister in 10 years. I didn't know where she lived, what she was doing, or even who she was. I didn't care either. There had been a time when Cora was part of my life, but that time was over. Simple as that. Or so I thought until the Honeycutts showed up one random Tuesday and everything changed. The Honeycutts owned the little yellow farmhouse where my mom and I had been living for about a year. Before that, we'd had an apartment at the Lakeview Chalets, the rundown complex just behind the mall. There, we'd shared a one-bedroom, our only window looking out over the back entrance to the J&K cafeteria, where there was always at least one employee in a hairnet sitting outside smoking, perched on an overturned milk crate. Running alongside the complex was a stream that you didn't even notice until there was a big rain and it rose, overflowing its non-existent banks and flooding everything, which happened at least 2 or 3 times a year. Since we were on the top floor, we were spared the water itself, but the smell of the mildew from the lower apartments permeated everything, and God only knew what kind of mold was in the walls. Suffice to say, I had a cold for 2 years straight. That was the first thing I noticed about the yellow house. I could breathe there. It was different in other ways, too, like the fact that it was a house.